All right, so you swam in the 1981 and 83 World University Games where you got bronze in every event. Is that correct?
I think that's correct. It's been so long ago, I almost don't even remember, but I was a little bit disappointed to get bronze, but it was the meet was actually held, I'm trying to think, 81, I can't recall, but 83 was right before Pan Am's. So
One was in Romania, 83 was in
yeah,
Canada.
so the 83 one was right before Pan Am's, and so I was on a different, taper schedule, if you will. So but anyway, I was, pleased to medal one way or the other.
Yeah, can't, you're on the podium. That's what
Right.
matters. So
Yeah.
what do you remember most about your two World University Games experiences?
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, for Romania, I had never been, to someplace like that. I did go to China in 1980 because we had boycotted, of course, the 80 games in Moscow. But Romania is not a place I probably would have ever had on my list to go and visit. I mean, I don't know when I would have ever had that opportunity. So to have been able to compete um, in a foreign country like that, very different, obviously, from ours, but also compete against some of the world's best. It was sort of interesting. In Romania, they actually had a really good backstroker at the time, Carmen Buniciau, and if I pronounce her name correctly, I think she was about 6'5". She just towered over me. That was kind of tough to compete against, but it was just really an enriching experience, truly, to be able to swim at such a high level at an international meet against other college students. So I think what I took away are just meeting so many people from so many different countries, and also getting to see so many different sports. I mean, a lot of swimming in particular, like the World Championships, is just aquatics. So you're only seeing, water polo, diving, whatever. In this case, you could see gymnastics, you could see, all sorts of things. So it's like a mini Olympics, truly.
Yeah. So what was it like getting to represent the US on a global stage like the World University Games?
I know you'll hear a lot of athletes say this, and uh, I truly believe when they say it sincerely. There aren't too many things that make you feel that proud. I'm getting goosebumps even talking about it. When you have the opportunity, if you win gold, to be on the podium, listening to our national anthem being played, and just being so proud of representing our country, and just having that overall experience. There's so few people, whether it's the Olympic team or whether it's World University Games or Pan Am's, et cetera, they only take a few per event. So if you're one of those few, what a great experience. So it's something, like I said, that's not like any other. And as a college student, what a great opportunity, similar to you finishing up at Olympic trials, to have that as one of your experiences as you're winding down your career.
Yeah. So do you believe that competing on at a global event like the World University Games made you a better competitor overall?
Oh, definitely. I think it's easy when you're swimming here nationally to feel like you're a big fish. And then when you swim internationally and see that other countries are really competitive. At the time, for me, it was the East Germans and the Russians. Today, I guess it would be probably more the Australians. But realizing that we aren't the only place that has really good athletes, although I have to say, I guess I'm a little bit biased. I think we have most of the best that are here, but I think those types of international events open your eyes to see that other countries, whether they're third world or otherwise, can still provide some of the resources and or have the talent for someone to perform really well at that level.
I'd agree with you saying that we probably have more of the best just because you look at the medal counts always and US is always on top.
Well, and I think you'll hear it said several times that making the US Olympic team in whatever sport, you might as well consider yourself as having won a medal, because the third, fourth, fifth place person at our trials probably still would win a medal at the Olympics if they're allowed to go. They just don't allow that many athletes per event. So
Yeah.
pretty competitive.
Yeah. So obviously you are aware of the large university presence that the Triangle has with UNC, NC State, Duke, Meredith, Shaw, all of them. What are your thoughts on UNC and all the other universities as hosts for the World University Games?
Um, I think it's amazing. I mean, obviously, World University Games, it says university, it's about student athletes, and what better place than a place such as the Triangle that does boast some of the most well-known universities, not only in the country, but in the world. We've got the venues, we've got the fan support. It's amazing to me, the events that we've been able to pull to this area just because we know how to do sports. And even though I love it, it's not just all about basketball. There are lots of other sports. And I think it'd be a great opportunity for people to see something like Taekwondo or rhythmic gymnastics, rugby that you might not normally in this area when you bring that sort of international presence here to the Triangle. But I think we know how to put on a great athletic event. I think it will be a great experience, not only for the athletes, but for the spectators. And again, I think we've demonstrated our ability to put on NCAAs and events of this caliber. So I feel that we're certainly deserving, and again, have the resources in terms of venues or facilities and volunteer support. I have competed in a lot of Masters national events, including here locally. And it's amazing. I mean, again, I'm getting goosebumps of the number of people that want to help because one, they're interested, two, they just take pride in our community. So I think we're positioned well to put on a great show.
Yeah. So from your perspective, what kind of positive impact should we expect if the Triangle was selected to host the 2027 World University Games?
Well, I think the most obvious is the economic impact. I don't know the exact numbers. I think the last few brought into the respective countries somewhere between 150 million to 400 million, which is just outstanding. And certainly the area could benefit from that. I would hope, again, because of the universities that we have in place, the venues, the facilities, that we may not have to put in as many resources for the infrastructure and building things because it's already there. So hopefully it would have a huge impact financially on the area. But again, I think, as I said before, what a great opportunity to show people who know a lot about sports, but maybe not about some of the ones that would be included in the World University Games. And to see people competing at that level and seeing the names of, if Michael Phelps were still competing, or, Katie Ledecky, whatever. I can't imagine that people wouldn't want to come out, bring their kids, and just experience what it's like to be at something of this high level. So I think there are a lot of great things. And I think for the universities themselves or the area, whether it's businesses being able to recruit internationally, if a fan comes and they're with a corporation in wherever, Japan, and they're like, wow, this would be a great place to put up a headquarters, or the universities themselves potentially being able to recruit students. And again, the people that are competing are already in college, but they may have siblings that, wow, we like the University of North Carolina. Let's, see if our child can get in there. So,
yeah. So, in your opinion, what makes for the best athlete experience at a large event like the World University Games?
Now, these are not in any specific order, but, at least for me, my top priority was to compete at my best, i.e. to swim well. And so it's the facilities of the venues, they need to be top notch. And again, as I said, we've got some of the best here in the Triangle. I think too is something that I probably didn't appreciate as much until now, watching our athletes compete now, is whether it's the dining area, food court, whatever you call it, making sure it's open long enough because you think you've got so many people from different cultures and what they're used to. So, keeping it open because competitions are all day long. A variety of food. I know some of the places that I went to, I was kind of limited in what my palate would tolerate. So you want to make sure that everybody is comfortable and can access what they're used to. And I think one thing I never really thought about this is, is there a way to have fueling stations at each of the venues? I mean, you saw it as a swimmer. It's hard if you're at a 2-hour meet and you had breakfast, long before that, before warm-ups, to be able to grab something really quick during that meet. I don't know that they've ever done that, but I think it would be a great thing to consider if feasible. I just see it with athletes today. You can't always get to the dining hall because it's too far away or because of timing, but to be able to have something available so you can fuel your body the way it needs to be fueled for a competition like that. I think too, making sure that the dorms or whatever residential community accommodates what athletes need. Now, I know not everyone is probably like me, but I actually like to get rest before my competitions. Some places like to have the social area close to the residential area, and that's not always the best thing because if some athletes are done with their competitions, they're having a good time, which is great, but those that are still competing may not appreciate that so much. So really paying attention to the needs of the athletes and what's going to allow them to compete at their high. So making sure there's air conditioning in those dorm rooms, that there's internet, reliable internet, those sorts of things. And then, as I mentioned, making sure there's an opportunity for the athletes to socialize. So you've got to have a village somewhere that they can all go to when they're not competing and spend time getting to know other athletes from other countries. I know I recently moved, and one of the boxes I had brought with me was some memorabilia, and I had bathing suits, t-shirts, pins from Germany and Russia, et cetera. And it was just kind of neat to look through that stuff. And it's kind of hard when you're competing to have conversations because you're in that competitor mode. So having the opportunity otherwise to be around other people and other cultures, I think is really important.
Yeah. So, you kind of answered my next question with that last one, but got one last one. So is there any advice you would give a young athlete who is aspiring to represent their country at a large event like the World University Games?
Wow. It was funny. This morning I was outside walking and a little boy came walking the other direction. He had just been at his summer league practice. He was looking kind of exhausted. So I was like, "So how was practice?" He's like, "Good." And I was like, "But was it fun?" And he actually brightened up. He's like, "Yeah, it was." So for me, I started swimming at the age of 8, and I'm actually still swimming. And I think the ability to sort of have that longevity and still enjoy it and compete your best is to make sure that it's fun. Make sure that it's something that you're doing because you want to do it, not because you don't want to let someone down, whether it's a coach, whether it's a parent, et cetera. And just realize, I don't certainly know about other sports. I would say most, in order to get to that level, are going to be so much of swimming, but it is a lot of hard work, and you've got to be ready to be dedicated and committed and realize that you've got to make choices. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say they're sacrifices if you choose to go to the swim meet instead of your prom or whatever it may be, but there'll be some choices that you need to make, and some people can't make those. So you've got to be ready to be able to make those decisions in order to give yourself every opportunity to succeed.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. There's one other thing I did. I was thinking of adding on the how to make this, excuse me, the best possible for the athletes. Making sure that the dorms or whatever you call it, residential community, is not too far away from the competition venue. I remember, I think it was, I don't remember, it may have been Romania. It was so far away. You're on a bus, it's just, you're already nervous as it is. And then you're worried about traffic. Can we get there? Are we gonna, miss our warm-up time or whatever? So just trying to have all those things in mind. And I know that the organizers will will have that. I mean, again, they're used to doing this. They've had NCAAs, they've had other high level
Yeah.
competitions. So they'll know kind of what to consider. But anyway, my 2 cents worth.